All right, the 2025 Corvette ZR1. Everyone and their mother has already covered this car, but people wanted me to share my thoughts, and I will, but I'm going to make sure that this is not the same regurgitated generic ZR1 video that everyone else made. I'm going to cover the car first, but towards the end, I'm going to be sharing with you my thoughts and what I personally desire out of a sports car for the street. Let's cover the obvious stuff first with this automobile. We got the 5.5 liter twin turbo flat plane crank V8 called the LT7 with 1,064 horsepower and 828 pounds-feet of torque. This is the most powerful V8 ever produced in America, and I'm sure many of us expected this car to come with like 850 horsepower, something along those lines. So this is absolutely insane. And what I appreciate about the C8 Corvette is it offers everything that most people want out of a vehicle. Every C8 in the lineup is a spec sheet glory hole to some extent. And specs is all people really care about. The ZR1 is the peak spec sheet concoction. There's no real need to recommend or not recommend this car. Everyone has already placed a deposit for this vehicle with their local dealership, even though dealerships aren't technically supposed to take unauthorized deposits. They're going to take them anyway. People want this because this is all people care about. It's the specs. And the vehicle can do a top speed of over 215 miles an hour. It has a sub 10-second quarter mile time. And if you go with the decked out carbon fiber aero package, this vehicle will produce over 1,200 pounds of downforce at its top speed. And one little feature that I appreciate is that split rear window. That's a great touch. I like that. And with the C8 ZR1, the split rear window is actually functional. There's louvers to evacuate hot air out of the engine bay. And yes, this twin turbo LT7 engine does utilize the same architecture as the Z06 Corvette's LT6 engine, but a lot of tweaks and changes were made, of course, and I'm sure every other video has covered that. And on the screen I have the full Chevrolet press release regarding the ZR1. Every content creator is going to utilize this press release to make their videos and their articles. They just regurgitate the press release information. So I'm just going to have that on the screen for you to check out, but I'll just point out some interesting facts that I appreciate regarding this car, because yeah, the 3 trillion horsepower that this vehicle produces, that's great, and that's going to be the highlight regarding this. But I did hear from another source that a stock or a standard ZR1 is set up to actually ride better than a Z06 Corvette. However, there's something called the ZTK package. This is going to give you really aggressive aero and that massive rear wing, and you're going to get much stiffer suspension as well. The ZTK performance pack is really what transforms the ZR1 into a track car, and you're also going to get Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2R tires with the ZTK package. The standard ZR1 is going to come with the Michelin Pilot Sport 4S tires. So yeah, the ZTK, that's going to be a really rough riding car. That's going to be the roughest C8 Corvette, I guess. And you are also able to get this vehicle with the carbon fiber wheels, and Chevrolet claims that if you opt for the carbon fiber wheels, you can reduce the unsprung mass by 42.8 pounds. That can also help your ride quality as well. Things that affect the street is what matters most for me. I know a lot of people like to take street cars and look at their track performance, and a lot of people like to track street cars as well. I'm surprised that a lot of people, they don't simply just go out and buy an Ariel Atom or a dedicated track car. Nobody really does that. People are really interested in tracking street cars for whatever reason. To each their own, but Chevrolet also has some detailed specs laid out for these vehicles as well. And they shared the dry weight with us, not the curb weight, the dry weight. And a coupe version is going to weigh 3,670 pounds. And get this, they're also offering the ZR1 as a convertible, the electric convertible top. I absolutely love that. That's one of the features of the C8 Corvette that I love most. There's not many hardtop convertibles out there. The freaking Mercedes SL that now utilizes a soft top. And at this point, you just have the Corvette, a couple of McLarens, and Ferraris that offer the hardtop convertible experience. And with the ZR1, it's going to weigh 3,758 pounds for the hardtop convertible ZR1. You get 20-inch wheels in the front wrapped in 275 wide tires, and in the back you get 21-inch wheels with 345 wide tires. Yeah, that's pretty insane, and you get some gigantic brakes as well in the front and in the rear. But is this car cool? Do I like it? Of course I do. What's not to like about a 1,000 horsepower vehicle? But personally, I would just go with a Z06 Corvette. Why? Because in all my experience driving high performance vehicles, supercars, both on the street and on the track, I like horsepower and speed like anybody else. However, the speed eventually is something that you get used to. And I've realized that what's more important for me out on the street, what makes a fun street car, is actually a sonorous engine sound and exhaust sound. That's really important, as well as a chassis that communicates with you through your seats, through your rear end, and through your fingertips with the steering wheel. All right, a proper chassis and a great sounding engine, that's what matters most. And the Z06 Corvette exists. It offers you one of the most exotic sounding sounds at its price point and even far beyond its price point. The thing about a twin turbo engine is it really neuters the sound quality of the engine. But I get it, GM had to do this to create this monstrosity. To create over 1,000 horsepower, you have to twin turbocharge the engine. And sure, this still sounds good for what it is, but for me, my ideal Corvette would be like a 2LZ or a 3LZ convertible Z06 that stickers for about $135,000 to $140,000. That vehicle still looks amazing, and I do love the Corvette interior as well. Some good attention to detail, nice design, and it actually exudes quality when you sit inside of the Corvette. This brand has done a brilliant job in offering the people exactly what they've always wanted. This vehicle looks like a Hot Wheels. It's the spec sheet glory hole, as mentioned before. Plus they're smart and they offer it with that folding convertible hardtop. Love that. And for the specs, for the price, the value is really unbeatable, right? And they have not unveiled the pricing yet for the ZR1. They say that this is going to start production next year in 2025, and that's when they're going to unveil the price. I'm assuming that the ZR1 is going to start somewhere around $175 to $200, but no matter what this costs, people are going to line up to buy it. That's besides the point, and that's fine. Go ahead. You should buy it. This is what everyone wants. You should go out and get it. The only thing that turns me off from the Corvette is the fact that it's a Chevrolet. I have to deal and haggle with Chevrolet dealerships. Just from that alone, I have to get my mind ready for war. It's literal warfare dealing with these domestic brand dealerships like Ford, Chevy, and Dodge. So that negotiation process is a nightmare. Regarding the Z06, there's a little over 300 new Z06s available for sale throughout the country. Most of them are the 3LZ trim levels. I've seen some dealerships offer like $2,000 off MSRP. There's another one offering $7,000 off MSRP. That was a more high spec Z06 that's stickered for $180,000, but whatever. They're offering a sizable discount, but you still have a lot of dealerships charging $20,000 over MSRP. So the dealer games suck, but let's say I am able to buy one from one of those top Corvette dealerships in the country like Malkukin Chevrolet in New Hampshire. The Corvette people know who I'm talking about. Sure, maybe I'm able to secure a Corvette and buy a vehicle from them at a good price. But now if problems occur and I need to utilize the warranty, I have to get the vehicle serviced at the slimeball, scummy dealerships near my local area. You understand? I don't live near the top Corvette dealerships. I can't service my vehicle with them. So servicing and dealer experience is what always turned me off from the C8 Corvette. Otherwise, a Z06 is a no-brainer vehicle in this lineup. Heck, you don't even have to pay $130. You can just get the base model 1LZ Z06s for $115, something along those lines. That is insane. But the dealer games is the only reason why I would personally want to step up to the exotic car brands. Something like Porsche with their GT3s, because the GT3 and the GT4 Porsches, they also come with a great sounding flat six engine that's very special, but it's very track focused. The car I would really want is a Ferrari. Out of all the cars I've ever tested, Ferrari has been one of the best driving experiences I've ever had. And the experience that I personally really want to have is a naturally aspirated performance V12. And the cheapest V12 modern Ferrari you can get is the FF, that weird looking station wagon thing. That vehicle trades for about $130 to $150, and you can get those cars certified pre-owned from Ferrari with the warranty. But the problem with that car is it's a 10-year-old clapped out Ferrari, as opposed to the Corvette, which is brand new. And that's always the dilemma that I have in my mind. The Corvettes are brand new. Everything else I want is going to be used. Even a 2018 GT3 Porsche is going to cost almost $200,000. It's going to have miles on it, and it's 6 years old at this point for a 2018. You can also get an Aston Martin Vanquish from 2015 and up for about $130 as well. But I would rather get a Ferrari over the Aston Martin. I can see why a brand like Ferrari is so pretentious. They really do make some of the best automobiles, some of the best feeling cars out there. Plus, when you finance or lease through Ferrari Financial, that vehicle will not show up on your credit. So if you wanted to apply for a mortgage on a house, you can do that and the vehicle will not affect your debt to income ratio. And this is the pragmatic, practical information that I share with my audience in my videos. I like to focus on the practical things. I actually want to put these vehicles on my driveway. I don't like to just look and gawk at these things. No, I want to experience these vehicles and put cool cars on the driveway. And that's why I spend so much of my time showing people how to lease vehicles, financing, and the nuances of all of these different buying methods. And whether people appreciate it or not, this is the type of information that I like to share. And also the practical driving qualities that I appreciate out on the street. I've shared that with you as well for the most part. I like vehicles that are able to isolate me from the unwanted, nasty noises. Like I don't like overbearing, loud tire noise. Tires that literally roar down the road. I don't like that. I don't like tires that kick up rocks like a lot of performance vehicles do. I want vehicles that can somewhat filter out the wind noise. And it's these things that you pick up on and you realize when you actually spend time with a lot of performance cars. I get it. I'm a car reviewer. I'm able to review these types of vehicles to get this experience. And I've realized that having 3 trillion horsepower, that's not my number one objective. I do appreciate cars with like 500 to 700 horsepower. I think that's a good practical amount for the street. And don't get obtuse with me. You know what I mean when I say 500 to 700 horsepower is good for the streets. A lot of people, they like to be difficult and say things like, oh, you can't use all of this horsepower out on the street, as if you need to use all of the power all of the time. No, of course not. You can turn onto back roads where there's less traffic, where you can see ahead clearly and exploit the vehicle in a safe manner. You can do that, you understand? But anyway, one of the vehicles that I tested recently that were able to achieve a lot of the things that I wanted was a Bentley Continental GT, the 2024 Edition 8 model. That car did something very special where, once again, it filtered out all of the unwanted noises like tire noise, wind noise, etc. And it wasn't kicking up any rocks because it didn't have these crazy track tires or ridiculous summer tires. And the only noise that was being pumped through the cabin was the sonorous V8 engine note. And despite it being a twin turbo V8, that actually sounded really good. The way they had it calibrated, I was impressed. Granted, that's a $300,000 luxury car. Let's forget that. Even my Lexus LC500 that I used to have, which cost a third of the money of the Bentley, did the exact same thing. It filtered out all of the unnecessary noises. It rode amazing, and the only noise you got through the cabin was that amazing naturally aspirated V8, and you were surrounded by an exquisite interior space. So that's what I value over having 5 billion horsepower, is a usable and enjoyable vehicle for the street. All right, a lot of these overly high performance cars, they don't feel so ideal to drive out on the street. They have the crazy tires, which I would personally want to have swapped out with some type of a Continental tire. Continental seems to be some of the smoothest tires that I've ever experienced, both for regular cars and even for performance vehicles as well. Their summer tires are pretty smooth. They don't kick up as much rocks, they ride better, and they prevent things like tram lining, so the vehicle won't be following the imperfections on the road as much. You know, a lot of those nuisances get ironed out with some good tires like from Continental. So that's what I would do if I had a Z06 Corvette. I would put on some Continental tires. But yeah, just because of brand alone, I would want to graduate into the exotic car territory like Ferrari as quickly as possible. That's what I would want to do. The FF is pretty old. Ideally, I would want the 812, but an 812 Ferrari is like 350 grand, even as a certified pre-owned vehicle. So GTC 4 Lusso for about 200 grand, FF for about 130, 150. These are some of the cheapest ways of getting into a V12 naturally aspirated Ferrari. It's like a poor man's Lexus LFA, if you will. You could lease things like a BMW M850 for a reasonable deal. It's another performance-esque / luxury car that I can appreciate out on the streets. I do love the LC500, but the lease deals suck, and there are no good finance rates either for the LC. So in the new car market, it's the Z06, or try to buy into the Porsche GT3 or the Ferrari stuff. That's kind of where I sit with this, or just lease a BMW M850. Those are some of my top picks for performance cars in today's current market. And I already shared everything regarding the ZR1, had the whole press release on the screen for you to see. But yeah, those are my thoughts. Thanks again for watching. Take care. Goodbye.